Hello everyone, this is Precision 6 in Dance Without Music. So we're going to do this lesson. Well, first I have to ex- uh, do an intro, okay? This Dance Without Music has been going on for about 2 years now. If you're really interested in actually starting, the beginning tells you all about what the class is about, why we do what we do, and as you go through the class, you'll understand new terms that coincide with the Dance Without Music. In the beginning, also, it shows you how to condition your body in order to do a lot of things that we have been doing. I can pretty much think that there's about maybe 2 or 3 people who have started from the beginning, maybe. I don't think that it's very, I don't say it's complicated, but it's new. And when something is new, it's hard for people to understand how beneficial this class is. Um, but it's very simple, okay? The concept is very simple. The concept is getting to being aware of everything that you do, being aware of your surroundings, not in a tense kind of situation like I got to know this, I got to know this. It's more like a natural part. I can say I pretty much started the idea from when I was very, very young. Maybe I was like 23 years old. I'm giving you um, more intro because it's been a long time. It's been 1 year, and if the new and other people who are interested and they just see this class for the first time, it helps them to get an interest in it. So one of the things that I started this class from an idea was the fact that when I was very young, of course, I was always wanting to know everything. Why is this? Why is that? Things that people don't really pay attention to. Like when I was walking, um, I couldn't understand how I could walk if I don't feel my walk. I mean, I don't feel what I'm doing. It's got to be some kind of I just wanted to know some kind of mechanism or something that I was doing instead of just walking and not understanding, exactly what I was doing or feeling exactly what I was doing. It kind of comes like that. But I was the type of person when I was very young, I always questioned everything and always tried to find an answer. And that's why I begin in the beginning, and you will see it's very basic in the beginning, but it basically shows you how to be aware of what you're doing. It's not something dramatic or anything. You just start out by paying attention to what you do. However, just paying attention about what you do all the time is very difficult. It's a very simple concept, but it's very difficult if you never understood what you were doing at all. So what you would do is you would like just say just pay attention to what you're doing. That's it's so simple. It's just really so simple. It's like that. I have to give you an example how I did it long time ago. Like I said, I was walking and I would walk and I would wonder, what am I doing while I'm walking? Well, I had to start paying attention to what I was doing. But when you never did it before, it's not gonna come overnight. And I always thought about what I was doing whenever I was doing it. Even when I was at work, I would think about what I was doing at work. If I'm reading, I think about what I was doing when I was reading. No matter what I did, every for since I was a kid, I always paid attention to something that was missing. So even if I use gestures, I wanted to know, well, how is this possible? But it is possible. It takes a long time. So when I kept paying attention, nothing was happening. But all of a sudden, after a while, little glimpses. I'm sure everybody's gotten them, but they didn't know what it was. Like, for instance, have you ever like sat down or did something and you felt exactly what you did? Okay, it came like that in an instant, few seconds, not even seconds, and then I built on that. So I told myself, oh, so if I keep thinking about what I'm doing, um, it something happens. I get a little idea or something about what I'm doing. It's just maybe that quick or like that, you know. And then it kept building and building and building, but it takes a long time. But it's such a it's I can't say I want to say it's a euphoric feeling when you find out the first thing. Like, for instance, I kept questioning, and all of a sudden maybe I was writing, and I could feel it for 1 nanosecond, and then I kept doing it, and it progresses until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you feel more about the things that you're doing. So it's like connecting your mind with your body. That's simple what it's doing. So anyway, if you just did that, it would take a tremendous amount of time, but it still would be very beneficial for you. But the only thing about it is when I did it, there was a lot of sidetracks. There's a lot of problems that you have to face. Not problems, but it's just roadblocks, okay? And I would go over the roadblocks, and I would accomplish. Sometimes it was kind of dangerous, sometimes it was kind of painful, sometimes it's just something else. But I continue because I've done it ever since I was a little kid. So then what happened is the reason why I have this class is because it takes away all of the problems that I had in getting to know how things work, okay? And it's free. I mean, I'm showing you how to do it without all the problems, and this is all in former tapes. I'm just saying this to you right now because it's been 2 years, and if some people, which is very good to see the video, it's Precision 6, and that's a long way away, okay? And I just want to spark somebody's interest into looking at the videos of Dance Without Music and starting from the beginning. I know that there's at least 1 or 2 people who are actually doing it. Oh, actually, I have a friend who I told them the concept, okay? He's in New York. When I was living in New York, I told him the concept, and he understood it right away. I think one of the problems that helped him was that he was, I have to say he was deaf. I mean, I'm not saying, he was deaf and he could speak and everything, and that's fine. But I think that helped him to understand the concept that I was telling him. So he continued to do it, and he made so much progress. Even one time he broke his leg, and he fell off a ladder, and he continued to understand or continue to develop what he had began, and it just worked out to his benefit, because you see, you aid, even if you go to the doctor, you're aiding the doctor because you can explain to them better about what's happening, how you feel about things. Okay, that's enough for the introduction. Because now we have to go to Precision 6, okay? I don't think it's going to be a very long lesson, but it's a very strong lesson. Now the lessons are very strong and very, they're just very concentrate, okay? This one is going to be Precision 6 and if you really want to do the program, you have to start from the beginning. It's just, you'll have so many holes. I tell that all the time. I say that all the time. You can look at all the videos, and that's good, and it does help you subconsciously. But if you really want to do the program, start from the beginning, because there's so much information that we have come across, and not just that, there's a lot of vocabulary. So thank you very much, and this is Precision 6. We're going to go. It's going to be called Distance. It's going to be Directing the First Distance. That's going to be the name, the title. Thanks for bearing with me, and now we're going to get started. Okay, and then I'll explain to you. I was going to explain everything, but I'm going to explain to you when I get up. So here we go. Okay, so let me move this. Maybe I should move this out the way. I don't know. Okay, no, I'm not going to move it out the way. Okay, so now we're starting with, how can I say? I don't think you can you see very well? Because I move things around. So let me get a little bit closer. Okay, that's good. Okay, so, and then you have to see this. Okay, so that's going to be good right there. So, remember we talked about, these are the things that we're going to use. We have a lot of vocabulary and everything. But the major thing that we're going to use is about the distance. We're going to use direction. We're going to use hydrogen X. We're going to use the weight, of course, and we're going to use the quadrants. And I might talk a little bit about control. Yeah, I'll have to talk a little bit about control, but we're not there yet. Control is beautiful. Everybody likes to control. So we're going to start. Direction for distance, okay? Directing distance. Let me see if I close this. It will be better. Okay, that might be better. Okay. So, and put this up a little bit more. I think that's better. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now directing, let's see the light, okay. Directing distance. So, directing distance, we're going to be using the retrocé, that's another one that we already went through, below the retrocé, okay, which is the sub quadrant. We have two I'm not going to say, we have a sub-quadrant here and we have a sub-quadrant here. We don't use numbers and things like that, or left or right. I'm just going to help people who just started if they want to see this. So, but I can't give too many terms out because we have to get through the lesson. So we have, we're going to be using the sub-quadrants below the retrocé. We have a sub-quadrant here, and we have a sub-quadrant here. Although, I'm not going to divide the retrocé, the blank points of the retrocé yet. We'll talk about that later. Okay, now, so we're in, let's say, we're in the between quadrant, okay? We're in a between quadrant just to warm up a bit, which I don't never do warm-ups, but just something mental. We're going to go to the right quadrant, the correct quadrant, or the natural quadrant. Go back to the between quadrant, and then we're going to put the weight, and then we're going to go to the other quadrant. We're in the other quadrant now, okay? Okay, now, remember the VOP. We did the point of view, and then we switched it and made a VOP, view of points, okay? View of point or view of points, okay? In the between quadrant, we have a center point, okay? And this is conceptual in your mind. But when we say conceptual in your mind, we know from Dance Without Music that a concept is very concrete in the mind, okay? So we have the view of points, okay? We have the center, we have the other, we have the natural or correct, or the right quadrant. The right has nothing to do with right and left. Right meaning correct quadrant. And we have that, okay? So, and then we have sometimes we should I like to use different terms too because it explains more. Like for instance, this is not just the right quadrant, it's the correct quadrant, it's the natural quadrant. This is the center point right here. But this is the point I was telling you about, the correct point. The center, I mean, the correct point, the natural point, um, the right point. This is the other point, okay? And then we have the center. We can also say center when we're dealing with all the points. We can also say center, center, because there's two other centers. There's a center here, and then there's a center in between the center and the other. So we can call this one center other. Okay, center other or other center. Okay, and okay, so we know that there's center, center, center other, or center, center, and I can actually say that that would be these. This would be these two are 90 degree. Okay, and the one in between here would be a 45. The reason why I can say degrees because degrees don't hook to anything else. It's just degrees. Okay, so I might use that sometime. 45 degree or 90 degree or something like that. I could use that, but I don't want to do it too much. So you can see that's the more math into it. Okay, and then we have the center and we have the correct or the natural. So then we have a natural center. So it would be like a 45 right here. In between, this is a point in between the center and the correct. So now we got that. But now there's something a little bit new. So we did this, but we're doing it in the between quadrant. How? So if we do it in the natural quadrant, that means the points are going to change a little bit. It's going to be, everything is going to be lined up with the natural quadrant. So the points are going to change. It's going to go from here, and then it's going to go from here. But you see that I moved over a little bit. The reason why I'm telling you this is because when we take a step, it's going to be from this point, this view of points or view of point, okay? If I do it in the other, it's going to be from this view of points because we're here. So you can see the view of points can move, okay? Because we have a conceptual, it's not something that you see, it's something that you know, okay? Everybody has it, but you'll get to see it automatically when you get to this stage. So now, we're going to take we're going to make our distance, okay? We're going to start in the between, and we're going to make our distance. First, we're going to start in the natural quadrant, okay? So we know the view of our view of points, conceptual here, concrete concept, okay? So we have one line up. So the first thing that we're going to do, since we're in a natural quadrant, we're going to use hydrogen X, okay, to advance, to distance, okay, to make a distance, okay. So we're making one distance, and there's another point, okay, so there's another point, I'm not going to go over that point yet. So we have our view of points, and we're going to make the first distance. So we're still in the natural quadrant. Now we're going to go over to the between quadrant, okay? And then we're going to rest in the other quadrant. And that's going to be it. Now we're going to go to, I can say center, that was center, okay? And one thing I wanted to say is that you have to get that for yourself. There's something I wanted to explain, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let you see it for yourself. So now we're going to go to the other center, okay? So we're going to, let's start again on the between quadrant. We're going to shift over to the other quadrant, to the right quadrant or the natural quadrant. We're going to, now this time I'm going to say, we're going to direct, okay, to the other center, okay, direct to the other center, okay. Now before I said use hydrogen X to make the distance. But now that we're just talking about this distance, we can talk about distance and direction. I did that so that you can see what's happening. That's another, how can I say, another level? It's another, if I talk about hydrogen X and I talk about weight, that's, how can I say, in Spanish I think it's rimas, but it's a level, okay? But now we're on the level of direction and distance, okay? Direction and distance. So what I'm going to say is I'm making the direction, I'm going to make the direction for the center other, okay? And then I'm going to shift from the right quadrant to the between quadrant, okay? And then I'm going to rest on the other quadrant. Okay? Now I'm going to go back, and then we're going to do the same thing, and then we're going to we're going to direct to the distance, other distance, okay? We're going to go to the other distance. And when I say other distance, I mean the points. So we're going to direct, actually I can say direct the hydrogen X to the, because I want to say direct the hydrogen X, but I also want to make sure that you know it's a direction. So I can say direct the hydrogen X. I'm going to go to the between, and then I'm going to rest. I'm going to change quadrants into the other quadrant, okay? Now there's something that now I can actually say it since we went through that. Or maybe I should wait until we finish this whole thing. Okay, yeah, let's finish this whole thing. So now I'm going to go to, this is going to be opposite, okay? Like we have the front and then we have the back. This is something that we're going to get into later on, but I want to just add it for now, and we'll talk about it later. But it's in an advanced class. It's in an more advanced. But we're going to go around again to a 45-degree angle, but it's going to be opposite the center. It's the center to the back, okay? In between the center to the back and the other, that's where we're going to go next. I'm going to do it, but it's more advanced. But ahead, I'm going to still do it. So I'm going to take this step. We don't say step. I'm going to direct the hydrogen X to the other, to the back of the center other, okay? I'm in the between quadrant, and then I'm going to rest on the other quadrant, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to do the center back, okay? And like I said, this is really advanced, but I want to go ahead and do it because it's practice, and you're going to see this later on. Now I'm in the between quadrant. I'm going to take the hydrogen X and direct it to the center. Now I'm in the back center. Now I'm in the between, and then I'm resting on the other quadrant. I'm coming back. Now I'm going to switch over from between to the other quadrant, And what we're going to do, we're not going to go all the way around. We're going to start at the up here. We're going to start at the front and then go back like we did before. But this, with this one, I'm just going to go and do it, and you're going to see me do it, okay? But like I said, it's try and read what I'm doing internally. I'm doing it internally, but now you know you can read, and you'll be able to read people, not as something negative, but something as something beautiful. You say, boy, look at the one. This is what I see futuristically. People going, boy, look at the way he does his hydrogen X. Look at the way he shifts his weight. Look at the way she shifts her weight, you know, and you can actually see it, okay? So now I'm just going to go through them because you already know. Try and read what I'm doing. And again, when you read what I'm doing, you don't use terms to yourself. You just know what it is. I use terms for communication. It's not like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this other. It's not other quadrant to yourself. It's not called correct quadrant to yourself. It's just here, but we use it for communication only. That's in all the tapes. Now let me just be quiet and let me go through it again. And that's it. Okay. There's a lot of things that I could actually say also, which will help you in a lesson, but I think I'm going to put them in other lessons. I wanted to add something to control, but that one was good for precision 6. Okay. So, that one's very important because this is the first distance. Just like when you took your first steps, this is like taking your first steps from knowing exactly what you're doing, how you're using the powers. Like I said, powers is another term that we use. Okay, it's very beautiful. It's now you can see how complex walking is, and how such a beautiful gift you're giving. You've got to do these things at ease. It's like miracles. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. And I want to make it to Precision 7. Thank you very much.